This is Dan Getz with Dance41. That's DANCE, the number 41.blogspot.com. Also YouTube channel 12131966 Dan. We're here actually with Cynthia Vega with Channel 8 News. We talked this morning about 5 o'clock. Cynthia, I wanted to ask you, what was the question that I was going to ask you? There's two questions. The first question was, what have you learned new by being out here today? What is your take on this?
Well, I've been out here most often, so you know. I was out here early on, one of the first few days when you guys put up your camp site, and then I've been out here a few mornings during when it got cold snap, and then out here today. And it's been kind of an evolution. I think the first day we were out here, I got a lot of different opinions about why people were out here, and I think they were still trying to figure out why they were here. That was a lot of different perspectives that we got from people, and that was the overriding message, that everyone had an individual reason for being here, whether it was joining a cause, whether it was complaining about Wall Street, whether it was they wanted to give their kids the exposure of living in the elements. I mean, I heard it all.
Right.
And today, I'm getting a greater sense that there's a little bit of frustration from those in the camp, and it may be because of the questions I'm asking, but some frustration with trying to comply with what the city is asking you guys to do in order to stay put here, and people feeling as though they've met those demands, and yet the city may not be playing fair at this point. That's the opinions I've been getting, but that's based on the questions that I've been asking.
Yeah. The other question, I did just remember what it was. Why do you think that Channel 8, WFAA, is the only... I don't see any other media out here, and this is where Occupy Dallas has been since October 6th, out behind the Dallas City Hall. Why do you think it is that Channel 8 is out here and everybody else probably is at the courthouse? What do you think is, what's your take on that?
Federal, not to interrupt you, but as you know, there's a big federal hearing this morning as to your judge is going to be deciding what your lawyers had asked, which was a temporary restraining order to prevent the city of Dallas from taking further action after they had reported that you guys were no longer complying with the most recent request they gave you as of last Friday. They came up with an agreement, and you guys had to, whatever those terms were. So your lawyers were going to court this morning saying, hey, we just want to call time out here before the city takes further action. That was denied. So for a lot of the stations that have limited crews, the reality is in this economy, just as a lot of people are hard up for jobs, we're stretched thinner as well.
Gotcha.
And so I think the one crew that may be devoted to this story topic is at the federal courthouse.
Okay.
Channel 8, on the other hand, realizes that there may be a reaction here to the decision made in the court.
Right.
And has chosen, for its own reasons, to devote one reporter to the federal courthouse and one reporter here. But they're stretching our resources this morning as well by doing that. But I think we value the reaction here at Occupy Dallas as much as we value the reaction at the federal courthouse to the denial of what turned out to be denial of the
Yes. I would agree, and I think this morning, Cynthia, we've actually seen some things firsthand that no other media has seen. One of the things, we saw some police cars, looked like maybe even undercover policemen, looked like something in regard to the gasoline diesel machine over there. There was some gas, I think, and it seems like when we moved those, they took off, but they were not clear in presenting themselves. Did you hear anything else that might be of interest?
We spoke to Dallas Police, directly asking questions about what they were doing here, and they were very clear about not responding. In fact, as I approached one, another officer was quick.
I saw that.
Yeah, quick to come up to him and say we're not commenting. And so it's interesting to see that I don't think it's any coincidence that the 9 a.m. hearing coincided with suddenly a stronger presence, as we saw, of marked Dallas police officers, marked Dallas police officers, unmarked Dallas police officers, people in uniform and people that weren't in uniform. We also saw the Dallas County Sheriff's Department close by. So we saw the police taking.
Oh, here's the Park and Recreation Department. Yeah, I've seen several different entities.
President from the city.
Yeah.
And early on in this, they told us they were taking their direction from the city.
Right.
So,
okay.
I don't think it's any accident you're seeing. They too may have been anticipating a reaction from you guys to that hearing.
Right.
So there's just no telling why they're out here. They're not.
It's hard to tell. I mean, I do know that when just observing when we put the gasoline behind the machine, I looked around and they were gone, and it was almost as if, oh, they're pressing us for a reason to be out here. We really don't have a reason to be out. I mean, that's just my interpretation, but that's what it looked like. But you know, and now that I think, I've seen moving trucks go by, I've seen park and recreations, I've seen several, like you said, different law enforcement, and in my observance, I've seen law enforcement here when they don't need to be. It's completely quiet. We've got it under control, and when at nightfall, you can't hardly find a policeman to save your life. Sometimes they park right over here. There's usually 2 cops, sometimes 3 or 4. Okay, but they're not. I've walked around in the middle of the night, and there's not one single police. And I've actually observed homeless. Oh, go ahead. You need to go. Okay, thank you. And this is Dan reporting live with Dance for One. That's DANCE #41ONE.com. Or the .com also, but also .blogspot, blogspot.com. You can also catch my videos on YouTube channel 1213-1966 Dan. And for 2 clips that occurred, one at 5 and one at 6 this morning on WFA, interview between Cynthia and myself, you can go to WFAA.com, and right about now they ought to be out there. It's about 10:30, and those should be archived those files should be archived. Thank you.